Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. and today I'm reviewing Chroma Mix, a 1 to 4 player game of blending colors together. This is a hand management game. This is, by the way, a prototype, all rules and components subject to change, and I'll have a link to the crowdfunding campaign down below. But Chroma Mix is a game of blending colors, like I said already. I'll walk you through how this game plays. I'll do it primarily just as myself playing my own hand, but normally you would have multiple players doing this all simultaneously. Well, not exactly simultaneously, taking turns, as it were. But you have a hand of cards, and effectively you're trying to win by getting your hands on one of these level 4 cards. These level 4 cards each have their own different victory condition. We'll come back to how the victory condition works, but let's just for right now know that you have to work your way up to them and then achieve what they want you to achieve in order to win. On your turn, you're going to take one of a few possible actions. The most common actions are either going to be combining cards, playing a card, or recalling your cards. Those are the most common actions in the game, and from there, those actions are going to be, let's do playing a card first. When you play a card, you're going to take that card and you're going to play it for its ability. In this case, I can take a single pale magenta or a light yellow into my hand. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to play that on the table in front of me, and I'm going to take a light yellow into my hand. That is the first action you could do. You play a card for its ability. You're starting, by the way, with 3 cards, which I'll go through each of the abilities right now. Let's go ahead and play 3 cards. My next turn, I'll go ahead and do pale magenta over here. You take 2 actions a turn, by the way, but over here, I'm going to go ahead, 1 action a turn, I apologize. You're going to go ahead over here, pale magenta, you're going to draw back a card, so this time I'm going to take back a blue into my hand. These cards are being played in front of me. Lastly, I'll do light yellow. When you play light yellow, you get to do a recall action of 1 card into your hand. So by playing light yellow, I didn't get a new card, rather I pulled back a card. Now, that's actually really inefficient at the beginning of the game. I just want to show you all the actions. And there is iconography here. For the most part, once you know a few core symbols, it is pretty easy to go through. These allow you to take one of those 2 cards into your hand. That little hand symbol means it goes into your hand. And this is the icon for taking a refill action, but this says you do a refill action of only 1 card. That's the way those actions work. And again, light yellow as an action, not efficient yet, can be efficient as you start building things up. That's basically the core of the 3 main cards you start with. Those are the 3 basic cards. They are over here, because you have those 3 cards. And then past that, let's start going into other actions. So for example, maybe now that I have this hand of cards, maybe I want to take a combine action. And I'll go ahead and I'm going to combine these 2 over here because they have one of, red and one of magenta and yellow. And those 2 combine to get coral. So I'm going to discard these cards back to their respective piles and take coral instead into my hand. I basically did a combine action to get the exact color combination necessary on this level 2 card. Level 2 cards have 2 pigments, level 1 cards have 1 pigment, level 3 cards have 3 pigments, and level 4 cards have 4 pigments. And to be clear, not different pigments necessarily, rather different, there's only 3 colors, but the number of pigments. So example over here, we have 2 magenta and 2 yellow, that's 4 pigments on that card. And you cannot overpay when combining. You can combine any cards, level 1s, 2s, and 3s, but you cannot overpay. But now I have coral in my hand, which let's go ahead and show you how this works. But first, let's pull out a new card from the level 2 row. We have a second jungle in play. I'm going to play coral over here, which when I play it is going to let me take a pale magenta into my hand, but it also gives me an ongoing effect. Part of the tableau building of this game is that you're going to get ongoing effects in play that help you get stronger as you go. In the case of coral, I can go ahead and combine cards that are on the table as well. So I don't have to merely keep a card in my hand. I can play the card for its effect and then later do a combined card from the cards on the table. So for example, I'm going to go ahead and play pale magenta over here. Let's make sure I'm doing this right. You know what? I'm going to play soft cyan over here, and that's going to give me a, let's say, a red over here. I'm going to play soft cyan again. That's going to give me a red. And then my next action, I'm going to use this coral ability to discard both of these in order to make those into a cerulean, which goes into my hand. Which again, helpful, getting stronger cards into my hand, building my way up. From there, I'm going to take cerulean over here. I'm going to take cerulean, I'm going to play it, and that will give me 2 equal level 1 cards. So you can see the actions are getting stronger as I go ahead and grab back 2 blues, which will give me more flexibility in terms of what I build and go. Now, eventually you'll play cards, you'll have trades or whatever. Let's say you have your no hand left, or you just want to draw back cards. You can take a refill action in which you take back any cards you want, and it is any cards you want. You do not have to take all the cards back. Maybe I want to leave that coral on the table so I can continue to do combining actions from cards that are in play without having to play it again to get there. But I do have this hand back and over here, and that means I'm going to go ahead, and you can only ever do a combine action of 2 cards, by the way. So I cannot, for example, combine this, this, and this to get that sapphire blue. Although there are cards, specifically this raspberry over here, which will let you do combine actions with multiple cards. So maybe we try to get our hands on the raspberry. Maybe the next action we take is, let's go ahead and just think this through. We will play back, we're going to go ahead and play back these over here. No, I need to do it needs to be level 2 cards. So I need level 2 cards. So I'm going to go ahead and play these 2 to get fuchsia over here. That's going to give me those. We'll put back a new card. Then I'm going to go ahead and combine fuchsia and light yellow to get raspberry. So fuchsia is going to go with discard pile of level 2s. We're going to get the light yellow over here. Then we're going to put a new 3 card over here. And now that I have raspberry, I'm going to play raspberry, which now means I can now play any number of cards to combine. So now I can go ahead and, I don't really have a plan right now, but hypothetically, I can go ahead and combine these 3 cards over here. And keep in mind, I'm not combining from the table. I could if I wanted to. And I'm going to go ahead and combine these 3 to get an azure. So that's going to be those over here. We now have an azure, and azure is going to be a fun card. Let's just go ahead and trade for a level 2 card. So we're going to go ahead and trade this for level 2. What do we want to do with that? If we just want to just straight up play this, we can straight up play this to get a level 2, which we're going to do. We will go ahead and use this to get, I don't even know what I want. I want yellow. I want the lemon one over here. I'm going to take the lemon. That's going to go straight into my hand. Lemon is whenever you combine cards, you can combine 2 cards, which is very helpful hypothetically. Let's place out a new card over here. I'm going to place cerulean to my row over here, where I can take 2 of the same card, and I'm going to take, let's say, 2 of these reds. And then I'm going to go ahead and use raspberry and coral combined to be able to combine cards on the table and to combine multiple cards. And what I'll do is I'll combine these 2 pale magentas along with the cerulean, and that will give me the sapphire blue, which means I now have a potential win condition in my hand. I say potential because each of the 3 win conditions, and that is a sequence of play that will obviously take longer if you're playing it with other players and going through the motions, but on your turn, again, you play a card for its effect, or you go ahead and combine cards to get a better, stronger card, or you recall any number of cards up to whatever number you want to your hand. Now that I have sapphire blue in play, once I play this card, and let's go ahead and play it right now, once I play it, then if I have 16 cards total, I win the game. The only problem is I currently have 5 cards. That may not have been the best strategy because I've been doing all this building up. And I also got rid of cerulean, which lets me take 2 cards at once. That's really helpful towards getting towards that 16 card combo. And there are a lot of fun things you can do. You can have a jungle in play, and a jungle is whenever you go ahead and play a card, whenever you recall cards, you get to draw a card. So maybe now I go ahead and have these over here, and I take back my azure for my next turn. And as I do that, because I get to take a level 1 card, I'll take back a light yellow. We'll go ahead, and then from there, I'll go ahead and play this azure here, take a level 2 card, which I'll take that cerulean directly into my hand, which is helpful. We'll toss that into play. Then I'll go ahead and play cerulean, which lets me take 2 cards, and you can see I'm working my way towards getting these cards again. Then I'm going to start comboing. I'm going to play a light yellow, which lets me pull back 1 card. I'm going to pull back cerulean, but because of the rule, I get to pull back, well, the cerulean shouldn't be here, I get to pull back a soft cyan. Then I'll play cerulean to take 2 soft cyans. Then I'll play a light yellow to take back a cerulean, and because I have jungle, I get a pale magenta, and there we go. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, fine, I have to play cerulean one more time, and there you go. I have 16 cards, and I win the game. Hypothetically, that's the idea of what's going on, just a lot slower because you're doing it with other players who are taking their turns and racing you to the finish line. The basic idea is you play a card for its ability, you combine cards, or you recall cards. You're trying to achieve these 3 cards potentially, and I say potentially because the ruby red is an instant win as long as you own emerald green and sapphire blue. Emerald green, on the other hand, wins if you have 17 points on the table. Cards have point values. For example, emerald green alone is 6 points, but then there's 2s, there's a 1 over here with the light yellow. That one's going to be worth a point. And so trying to use your emerald green to get 17 points of cards on the table, that'll help you win. And then lastly is having 16 cards in your hand with sapphire blue. That will let you win. And so you're trying to, I guess technically, if I have sapphire blue on the table, I have to double check the rules on that one. I think I might actually have to have 16 different cards in my hand and do a recall action to actually win as well. But that is basically how you play Chroma Mix. It's all a bunch of playing cards, combining cards, as far as the different colors and the way everything mixes together, both thematically in terms of the various pigments and colors, and then also mechanically in terms of the actions and abilities at your disposal in order to try to drive for a win. Which brings us to the review, starting off with ease of play. Rulebook is very easy to go through in this one. The biggest thing in the way of ease of play is the symbology. There's lots of symbology in the cards. It gets pretty easy to follow once you know what's going on, but you do have to know what's going on. So you have to go through the cards, and the rulebook does have a manual telling you what each card does, so even if you don't immediately get the symbology, there is a listing, but the symbology will help you remember what it is, and I find one play was enough to lock all of the symbology in to the point that I don't have to reference the rulebook anymore. The game does take anywhere between 30 to 45 minutes, depends on player count, depends on how fast players are moving. As you've seen over here, you can play through a full cycle yourself in literally 5 to 10 minutes if you're going through it, but obviously table talk, other players, taking your time, that all slows the game down, as does actually trying to win efficiently as opposed to what I'm doing here, which is just trying to show you how the game plays. As far as what I like, don't like, and can see others not liking, there's a few things here going on, but the biggest thing is this is a hand-building, hand management exercise. It's an enjoyable process of trying to find the right combinations of abilities and finding out what's the fastest way to get from those 3 basic starter cards towards that endgame card. And you can't perfectly predict anything because the cards on the table are moving. The cards on the table are not always available game to game, and you don't know what will be taken from underneath you. And so there is that process of working with what you have and trying to find the best combination of things that will get you towards that endgame. Is it better to start building up a tableau where you're drawing 3 cards every single turn because you have 3 jungles in play, and you combine that with light yellow to just pull back a sequence to just get a nice sequence and flow going? You can have a powerful turn that way. You can also get a variety of ongoing abilities that when you play a card, you draw a card. When you play this card to get 3 level 1 cards, you can try to work your way in a variety of different pathways towards that endgame, but it's all about trying to find that pathway. It's a rewarding tableau system of trying to find those combinations of getting more things and finding your specific pathway with what's available towards getting that. It's very much just about the hand management. That's all it is. Find an endgame condition, work your way towards it, possibly adjust and tweak your strategy based on what's happening as you gather cards and as you build out your engine, but you will get stronger as you go, and it's all about that tableau and that hand management in a very both thematic and compelling engine that works fairly well as far as those pathways to victory. As far as the what I don't like in the game, a few small things. First of all is the game can stall at points as you try to work your way up. The very nature of the game often means trading in cards for other cards and giving things up to get more. Sure, you can burn that card on the table because it'll let you combine to a level 3, but then suddenly you are no longer able to combine cards from the table and you have to get it back into play. And so there is that process of a bit of a slowdown as you try to figure out exactly where the right tempo is, where you are building up your engine and driving endgame, but not compromising on your engine. And so there are times with the game, I'd say at 30 minutes this game is a delight. At 45 minutes it feels a little bit like it should have been a 30-minute experience, and there definitely are 45-minute long games. I don't even know what the box says. Box says 30 minutes. I've had 45-minute long games of this, and it feels like it drags a little bit when you have that pacing. I'll also say that the low card variety, there's only a handful of cards in the game. There's like, I think 6 cards of each level 2. There's 3 level 4 cards, which are the winning cards. There's 3 level 1 cards, which are the starter cards. And then there's like 6 cards of each in the middle. I think it's like 6. I have to double check the exact count, which is not a ton of variety. That means there's like 14, 15 abilities in play in this entire engine. That does lend itself to a very tight engine, which you can try to predict around what will and won't come out and have some degree of reliability that at least you'll see some cards of certain types. The flip side is I kind of want more variety. I want more cards and more abilities and more ways to try to pursue it. This is a game that a few games in, I feel like I've seen a decent amount of what the game has to offer, versus I want to feel like I'm still exploring all the abilities and the ways those combine. This is a good time to mention Prototype, and I have no clue what the final game will look like. I don't know whether this is the final game, whether there'll be additional cards, expansions, I don't know. But it's a game that I think works well, and I do want expansions to further build more, I don't know, depth or color into this engine. I think it works well, but I kind of want to see more from it. As far as I can see others not like in the game, first of all, lots of iconography in the game. There's a whole bunch of icons in this, and if you don't pick it up, this is an iconography heavy game. I think it is not that big a deal as far as picking it up and getting it going, but it certainly is present. I'll also say that the endgame has an interesting aspect where when you're driving endgame, you kind of have a choice. You can overthink your turns and take forever as you perfectly min-max your way towards, okay, great, I think I need 6 turns left. If I perfectly plan this, I can make it work in 5 turns. Or you're going to have some degree of inefficiency. You might hit that endgame and have more things than you needed because you didn't perfectly compromise and trade things in and break things down along the way. And so the endgame does have that choice of perfectly optimize and slow the game down, or have some degree of inefficiency, which depending on your group and how strategic you're being, like this game playing competitive, I think I would not enjoy this game competitively. I think it would just go to the player who's able to min-max to the nth degree in a way that I find less satisfying, versus I find more intuitive min-maxing more what I like, and that means a degree of overplaying and not trying to perfectly plan every single move, but just take that into account. As far as final thoughts on Chroma Mix, I overall enjoy this game. There's a lot of clever things going on in this one in terms of the way you build up your hand, the way you combine cards, and it gives you a game that, again, there's thematically the way the colors are all combining, it works well as far as, hey, here's a themed game around mixing things up, while also giving you a solid puzzle, a solid core underneath all of that is rewarding to go through. I like what it's doing. At the same time, I kind of want to see more. I want to see more abilities, more cards. What it is works well, but I feel like it has limited replayability to a certain extent in its current form. I want to see more for the actual game. As it stands right now, it's a 3.5 out of 5. I enjoy the game. Lots of fun little things going on. Lots of ways to build out your tableau and go through. I just want more ways so that I continue wanting to explore this engine. As far as other game recommendations, the two that come to mind that this game feels like, it has a healthy dose of both Splendor and Century Spice Road in the gameplay, in the sense that you have that hand management, you have that playing cards, you are driving towards an end game, but additionally you're also trying to manage your resources in the game and build up a tableau. Overall, this works fairly well as a combination of both. If you like this, you should check out Splendor. If you like Splendor, you should check out this, and vice versa, as well as with Century Spice Road or Golem Edition. They're the same basic game with two different themes, but those are all games that are in the same wheelhouse as Chroma Mix. In any case, and until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, I hope you have a good one.